Saturn is about to ingress into the sign of Aries. It's going to do that on February the 13th, so already within a couple of days, and the energy is quite strongly present already. Right now, it's at 29 degrees of Pisces. It is handing out a whole bunch of karma to those who have been spiritually bypassing us. Think about Deepak Chopra, the Dalai Lama, a lot of other big figures, and of course celebrities within the scenes of Hollywood and also within our elites. So a lot of the stuff is crumbling, guys, and a lot of truth is being revealed, even though we are not seeing or knowing the full picture just yet. But don't worry, because we are about to. 2026 is going to be the year of disclosure, and it is going to ripple further into 2027. So Saturn, the taskmaster, the one who's strict, who hands out karma, who is about restricting, refraining, and putting a very big weight on all of our shoulders, is now about to ingress into the sign of Aries. And Aries, it is the first sign of the zodiac. It is like the infant or the baby of the zodiac. It is quite pure, and it can throw a little bit of a temper tantrum from time to time. And now with Saturn ingressing into that sign, it's really about maturing. It's really about taking responsibility for our own identity. So also Saturn, he has like a very big grandfather archetypal energy into him. And infusing that into the sign of Aries, that is like handing over your important paperwork to a child and expecting that everything is going to turn out fine. So you already notice like the conflictive energies that are about to take place in the sign of Aries. Saturn is at fall here, so he doesn't like to be here. But on the positive side, Aries is also a sign of war, and we are about to see more conflict, but Saturn is going to hand out immediate consequences to those who abuse their power only to infuse more conflict into this world. So, considering the circumstances, it might be a gift that Saturn is about to switch over in Aries. Nevertheless, to say that we are about to need to take more responsibility for our own identity and our own well-being. Victim mentality, that is dead now that all of these planets are out of Pisces into Aries. So no more handing out our no more relying on other people to fix our problems. We are going to learn, maybe in a little bit more of a harsh way, that we are quite capable of fixing our own problems, and in the end Saturn is going to strengthen us. But you are going to need a whole new dose of patience, and Aries doesn't know any patience. Like, I'm always telling my mother that they forgot that to install during my birth. Patience, it is not my middle name at all as an Aries. So yeah, that is going to be quite a test for some of us who are quite impulsive, definitely with their words and actions. So everyone, welcome back. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And before I go deeper into this video, I also want to remind you that I've already made a video about Saturn in Aries. There I've highlighted a whole set of other principles, and I've also looked at some of the historic influences and cycles, and I am not going to repeat myself today, as I want to put an emphasis on other themes here today. But definitely you can check that out if you are interested in learning more about Saturn and Aries. So yeah, I'm going to link the video in the description box below so you can easily find that. So Saturn and Aries, yeah, the last couple of years, it could have felt like everything was just like dissolving with Neptune in Pisces at the end degrees. And a lot of the rules were changing with that as well, because Saturn was also at the end degrees. It is still up until today. So until the 13th, Saturn will be at 29 degrees. It is a critical degree. And we can feel like the ground is moving and is shaking. We are about to see a Saturn-Neptune conjunction as well at 0 degrees of Aries, which is the world point axis. So very big implications for the entire world. It is about the dissolving of systems and government structures. And yeah, it's just a very big disillusioning effect. And that is also what we are witnessing on today's world stage. So all the end degrees of Pisces that we've been going through for the last couple of years, it is like nobody could agree upon what's real anymore. And that is a very big theme of this moment. And now this transition, it is not subtle. It is not go with the flow anymore like it was in the sign of Pisces. Saturn in Aries, now it is about pressure and courage and also conflict. And of course, Aries is also a very big sign of leadership and accountability within that, and also having to pay the price of one's impulses. So here we can see it on the slide. On February the 13th, we can see the full ingress. We had a sneak peek last year. That was on the 25th of May. Until the end of September, we already saw an ingress of Saturn into Aries, but now we're gonna see the whole movie, like not the trailer anymore of last year. Now we're gonna see how it really is gonna play out. So what happens when people act first and think later, and then having to deal with a lot of the consequences from their impulsive actions after? So of course, Saturn is going to stay into Aries until the 13th of April, 2028. So we have a good amount of 2 years or so to engage with the energies. And in today's video, of course, I'm going to highlight the personal, collective themes, and then later I'm also going to look at the 12 rising signs. So be sure to stick around for that. Of course, this transit, it matters a lot. Saturn is in full. Aries is the first sign. It is about initiation. Aries is also about ignition and ignition. And it is really like the spark. It is the I am principle. But Saturn, he is very strict and mature. It is about responsibility, and he rules over time and consequences. And when that moves into Aries, it's about building new foundations in a sign that naturally wants to move very quick and fast. It is such a quick, fast-paced sign. And it's like also about starting things without waiting for the permission, and sometimes that is going to give some problems here. And we're already seeing the problems now of Saturn being at 29 degrees of Pisces. Look at all of the things that are coming out right now. 29 degrees is like the end of the zodiac wheel. And Saturn is about karma, and Pisces is about spirituality, but also about deception and things that have been the things that we've been lied to and that they kept hidden from us for decades and decades of time. That is now being revealed. And of course, we're going to see more of that. As I've told in my last video about the full moon in Leo, that we really needed to look around what the current themes were during the full moon. Of course, the biggest theme was the release of the Epstein files, and Leo rules over children. And I've said what's about to come out is going to have even bigger implications during the solar eclipse that we are about to see in the sign of Leo. And that is going to happen on August the 12th. I can also see some important things happening in Epstein's chart that also implicates that we are about to see more of the files, definitely from the end of April into then the eclipse in Leo. That is going to be a very important date to have more disclosure on the 3 million files that they are still hiding from us up until today. And it's interesting that it's not about left and right anymore. We see now that all of the former administrations have really kept that like hidden in the dark. And remember that Trump signed the Transparency Act, and there are so many rumblings, but still he signed it, he pushed for it in the beginning, and also there is so much more that we need to like uncover. And it's not about left and right anymore. It's really about both sides that are being very, very highlighted. And I can feel like a lot of people right now, they are a little bit stuck in the dark, or they feel like they're in this deep rabbit hole. Definitely, if you had no idea what was going on before, that can be a rather dark time for you right now mentally. But I would invite you to step out of the darkness, because the fact that these files are being, like, the darkness is being illuminated right now. And that means that the light is winning and that the darkness is losing its power. It's being highlighted, and whenever whenever there's light coming in, there can no darkness exist anymore. And I really feel, even though I also have a little bit of a suspicion that this is somehow or somewhat of a controlled demolition, because at the one hand, like, it is very positive that this gets like exposed right now, and that light is like casting over the darkness, or like, yeah, it's exposing the darkness and it's illuminating everything. So that in itself, like, it shows that the light is winning. But on the other hand, like, my conspiracy mind just like rambles and rambles, and I'm feeling like, could this be somewhat a controlled demolition into showing how corrupt everything is? And by that, then saying like, okay, well, then this is now the perfect opportunity to install new ways of control systems. This is like the perfect advertisement to say like, oh, look at all this corruption and how bad and how corrupt everything is. But we've got a solution. We're going to install all these new control systems just for your safety. Like, oh, wow, how kind. So I'm a little bit waiting how this is going to play out. Now, definitely with Pluto and Aquarius, it is about the power returning back to the people. But still, Pluto and Aquarius can also resemble more control through technology. So the next 2 years are going to be a very critical point in our history and how it's going to play out. And definitely with the solar eclipse in Leo this summer, like, and then Jupiter also ingressing into Leo by the end of June, the world stage and the theater and the circus and all of that is going to like go to a whole next level. So I'm really, really curious about, which direction we're going to go in right now, because there are still no arrests. I think that says a whole lot. And I know there is karmic consequences and repercussions and all of that. And in a sense, I'm okay with that, letting the universe play out and just preserving the karma and handing it out at the exact right time. But still, the fact that there are no arrests up until today also tells us a lot about our current system. So, yeah, very interesting to look and wait how this is going to play out even further. So let's look at Saturn in Aries. Yeah, it is. Saturn is long term. Aries is immediate. Saturn is about building and patience and waiting, and Aries is about like short term satisfaction. So Saturn is very deliberative, and Aries is very instinctual. And Saturn, it asks for patience. Aries, it wants like results yesterday. So it's in fall. It doesn't like to be here. It's expecting like a kid to handle all of the rules, Saturn. And it is a placement where it can, Saturn, it wants to plan and weigh all the consequences, and it needs to act strategically. It needs to build with a lot of steadiness and maturity. And Aries, it is not about steadiness. It is about momentum and acting on that momentum. So we can feel like we can go and then we need to stop. We can go again and then we're being blocked. So we feel fired up and then getting blocked again and making a big push and then hitting another wall, and we want to start something. But with that comes a big reality check, if it's going to be enduring or long lasting. And Aries says, let's go, full force ahead. But Saturn is like, wait, show me your plan and show me your integrity and show me how mature you are and firing up this new plan. So it is not, I'm not saying you don't need to act. No, not at all. But it's definitely not about suppressing the Aries energy, although on the world stage they're gonna try that for sure. Because last year on the 25th of May, when we saw the first ingress of Saturn in Aries, a couple of weeks before that, we saw like the new real idea coming in for the States. And we saw other measures as well, where there was like more control over your identity, Aries. And Saturn is about repressing and limiting identity, Aries. So are we going to be able to be ourselves? Are we going to be restricted in some kind of way? That is a very big possibility here, and it is a little bit worrisome because Saturn here on Neptune weakens the qualities of Saturns. Now we can look at it from a pro and a con perspective. Saturn and Aries can limit the conflicts, refrain that, but Neptune can also weaken Saturn into like not being able to fully be ourselves, like freedom of speech. Look at what's happening with TikTok. There are all signs on the wall, and it's all connected to Saturn here. So we're gonna need to maybe fight for our identity, and people are gonna be very impatient with like the limits that they're gonna be met with, and that is gonna be a bit harder here in the next couple of years. But definitely, it's not about repressing your own Aries fire. It's about taking action in a very disciplined kind of way. We do not want to become passive. That was connected to all the Pisces energy. Now Saturn wants our fire to become skilled. And it's like about training who you're becoming, and also, about really acting on your integrity. And it's going to be very obvious to see right now who can handle power Saturn without losing integrity. And at the world point axis right here at 0 degrees of Aries, there is a collective disillusioning going on with government structures, with people in a power position, Saturn, people who are like in an authority position, Saturn, Neptune is dissolving that. I really think that the Epstein files are being used for leverage, because we can see a lot of exposure about politicians who are not in power anymore. But then I'm thinking about the 3 million other files and how that is now being used as leverage to those who are still in a power position. And Mercury is going to go retrograde on the 26th of February. I think it's all almost in his shadow period. And I can feel it today, so bear with me, guys. Having a Mercury retrograde on top of all of this, that is just like, the cherry on top of the cake, isn't it? So we're going to need to be a little bit more patient. And it is just like, there is a lot going on right now. I don't know where to start first, honestly, because a few days later, we're also having this famous Saturn-Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries. That's going to happen on the 20th. And this is a very rare and defining moment. It is about structure, Saturn meeting dissolution or dissolvement, Neptune. And Saturn, it wants rules and limits and accountability. And Neptune, it wants boundlessness and transcendence, and it's about ideals and our faith and visions, and it's also about escapism. And when the two of them come together, it's about like all of these old stories that we've been living by, they begin to dissolve. And that is not happening in a very gentle way right now. So illusions are being stripped away. We're being forced to see what actually holds weight and what doesn't, and what needs to go. And it can definitely feel like a loss of faith and certainty, and all the beliefs that we were relying on, they no longer make sense for a lot of people. And long-term plans, Saturn, can also feel a little bit blurry or uncertain with Neptune here. And it is like a collective motivation dip. And that is why I'm here trying to also highlight the positive energies, because Saturn is about structuring your vision, your dreams, your ideals. Neptune and Saturn, it is about working hard, but Neptune is really about making our dreams come true. And Neptune is also about our imagination and the unseen realms. And whenever Saturn and Neptune come together, there can be manifestations and like miracle manifestations. It's like the structurizing or like the crystallization of our imagination or of the unseen realms. So when we look back in historic cycles, we can see massive miracles happening, or like the unseen realms really showing them to us in yeah, crystallized kind of way, like tangible kind of way. And yeah, if you look at like, maybe I'll need to, I'm gonna do a whole other video about Neptune and Saturn, and maybe I'm gonna like then give a few examples of how it also brings disclosure with it in regards to UFOs and these objects in our skies that are becoming very, very obvious and witnessed by thousands and thousands of people. So we know there is a spiritual war going on, and this is definitely kicking up another notch because it's in Aries, the sign of conflict. So yeah, it's really also a fight about our spiritual identity, and that being dissolved and some kind of a new structure that is being put into place right now. It is a very, very important transit here. Last time we saw it happening was in 1809 during the fall of the Berlin Wall. Then another time before that, like Stalin died, Putin was born during a conjunction. So this is very, very important for Russia, also very important for Iran. I've already talked a little bit about that. There is possibility to seeing regime changes in both countries because that is so strongly present in other historic cycles. So very interesting to see. Also worth to note that NATO has a stellium in Aries in their mundane chart. So that is also getting heavily triggered right now, and more so during the month of April, when we are about to see a stellium of 7 planets in the sign of Aries. Yeah, but that is for my next slide. I'm already going too fast. And Saturn in Aries, he's like already saying like, Astrid, slow down. Yeah, more patience is being thrown in the mix for all of us. Let me know how you are doing with patience, and if you have some left, maybe you can like telepathically transfer them or it's a little bit towards me. That would be actually very great. So also just know that everything we relied upon is going to get dissolved. Motivation drops, but it's because the old frameworks, they no longer fit now. And it's really about building something real out of what remains once a fantasy and that now falling away. It's really about like taking off the blindfolds and being like confronted with reality. Aries rules the face, and Saturn and Neptune are like right in our faces right now. And it's no more about escaping. It's not possible anymore. Once you see something, you cannot unsee it anymore. And that is also a very big emphasis here of these two planets together. Like, guys, the last time we had 2 outer planets conjunct one another, that was during the whole pandemic of 2020. So that was then, of course, Saturn and Pluto. Saturn limits and blocks the government. Pluto, abuse of power, destruction, violence. Yeah, it was just like a very big control mechanism that was installed. And it was really to test us how obedient we would be. Now that's all out, also in the files, and I think a lot of people now are going to learn how to say no. And Aries is about sovereignty, about standing up for ourselves. The government, Saturn, is going to try to limit and refrain us into these matters. And yeah, there's going to be definitely a lot of push and pull between those themes happening in the next couple of years. So on the positive side, Neptune, Saturn, very powerful time for like confronting self-deception and all of the spiritual bypassing that has been happening, like we see with the Dalai Lama and Deepak Chopra and all of these other bypassers. And it's also about like the limiting narratives about what's possible and that being dissolved as well. So yeah, ideological lies, all of the hollow and corrupt authority, all the systems that were built on wishful thinking rather than reality, and that being exposed. A lot of disillusionment with leaders, institutions, movements, all the things, or all the people and the movements that promised a lot of salvation, but really lacked a lot of substance. And however, like people need to go through disillusionment to have like a sort of spiritual awakening, and I think that is the positive side of this aspect right now. It's really about like rebuilding the meaning of life and our visions on a way more honest level and a more grounded level. Saturn is really about grounding Neptune's spirituality as well. So everything that is going to survive this alignment, whether that's your job, your relationship, friendship, your whatever it is, if it survives this time, then it has a lot of integrity and it's going to be here for the long term. Other things or everything else is going to fade away, be dissolved, or it's going to fall away in some kind of way. So look at your limiting beliefs and just like remove and cleanse out all of the structures that were built on fear, because Aries, it is quite fearless. And I think that is one of the positive sides. A lot of people are really going to have to do a lot of new things for the first time in their lifetimes, but it's gonna be about maturing and growing up and not giving away your power to people or institutions who do not have the best intentions with you, and growing up from that. And I think that is something that is very, very necessary in today's world. So it can also bring a lot of positive influences, but definitely the house of cards, it is crumbling massively right now, and a lot of people feel disillusioned, and it can bring uncertainty and fear. Neptune asks us to surrender, believe in our faith, believe in ourselves. Saturn is going to come in to then change a whole lot about the structures that we have been operating for the last 36 years. So it is like a very big, massive transit. And it, on a collective level, always correlates to long-standing narratives completely collapsing. And it creates ideological confusion, and all the institutions are losing their legitimacy right now, and people are realizing that the story that they were sold doesn't match reality at all. And we need that in order to move forward. So with Aries then involved, like, and Saturn about the rules, like who has the right to act, who has the authority, who makes the rules, that is all massively being questioned and scrutinized right now. So yeah, it's also Neptune now in Aries already. It is inspiring, like, yeah, the fantasy of domination. Aries can be quite dominant. There can also be glamorization of war, or like fantasies about conquering the whole world, because it's at 0 degrees of Aries. But Saturn doesn't let like the fantasy live forever. Saturn rules over time. It rules over like it makes reality collect its depth. And if you hear people around you saying like the rules don't matter, law doesn't matter, consequences don't matter, then those people are going to have a very, very difficult time, because we have a lot of things in Aquarius still. Mars, Pluto, Sun are still there. There is still this immense rebellious energy and underlying current to everything that is happening right now. And I feel like a lot of people are just rebellion. They're behaving rebelliousness for the sake of rebellion. And that is also not the best way to handle all of the energy right now. So yeah, you can feel very powerful, but it's another thing to really survive all of the consequences of using it recklessly. And that is what Saturn is about to show us in the next couple of years. So before I dive any further, I'm actually hosting an eclipse webinar. I'm going to do a workshop on February the 15th, and that will be 11 a.m. Eastern time or 5 p.m. Central time for people of Belgium or Europe who also want to, just join in and look at all of the information that I've got prepared for you for this very big Aquarius eclipse that is about to pop here on the 17th. So yeah, we are already gonna be in the eclipse portal whenever I'm about to give this workshop. So you can find a link for that in the description box below. You can find it on the Beyond Mystic Academy. You can use promo code AQUA10 to save 10% off. And I would be very, very happy to see you guys during the live workshop. So be sure to tune in for that. All right, if we can look at a very important time within the Saturn and Aries cycle, that will be like the middle of April. Mars is going to have to pass over Neptune, then meet up with Mercury, and then on the 17th until the 21st or so, it's going to meet up with Saturn. And Mars and Saturn, they are the two malefics in astrology. And whenever they come together, they signify a prolonged new cycle being kicked off in regards to like prolonged challenges. That is like Aries is conflict and assertiveness. Mars belongs to Aries. So Mars is in its home sign during that time. And it's going to meet up with Saturn, the other malefic in astrology. Like, guys, this is going to be a difficult time. And my sun is at 7 degrees of Aries. So, dear Lord, send help. Because, this is not going to have good implications for me. I already know that quite sure. I've been seeing it arriving since a couple of months ago already, and I was like, oh dear Lord, this is not gonna be good for me. But okay, I'm gonna try to hold it all together for the sake of this video. And if you have planets between, let's say, I'm gonna say just 0 until 10 degrees of Aries, you are in the direct line of fire. And with Chiron there, we're gonna see a new moon there on the 17th of April. The new moon in Aries will be conjunct Chiron while Mars is in its home sign, while it meets up with the other malefic Saturn, while Mercury is on Neptune. This is honestly, it's going to be a lot to handle. Not to scare you, just to make you aware. And of course, I'm even already preparing my workshop for Aries season that I'm about to bring to you guys in March. So yeah, more about that later, but definitely Mars Saturn, when they meet, it is like raw force. Mars meets up with like immovable resistance, Saturn. And Mars wants action now, and Saturn, it wants to wait and plan and stop and take a breath. And it creates just this highly pressurized energy that can feel very frustrating and exhausting and even explosive. Yeah, Mars and Aries, they rule over nice bombs, guns. Uranus, 29 degrees. Yeah, it is just going to be a very, very tense time. And if you need to handle it very, very consciously. People are going to be very reactive, and it is a very clear indicator here of conflict around prolonged effort and authority and anger and being met with the limits in your life. And this one is really going to test you on a personal level. Like, it's all going to test us how we handle our frustration, and we are going to feel blocked, delayed in some kind of way, or maybe we're going to receive no for an answer and we are going to want to push forward. So probably with my sun at 7 degrees of Aries, I'm going to be blocked in some kind of way, and I'm going to want to be pushing full force ahead like I'm used to, but I'm going to need to back down, and I'm need to look, I'm going to have to throw the towel into the ring. I don't know if you guys say that in English. Je handdoek in de ring smeten, maar still, we need to be careful not to burn ourselves out during this time. And the lesson here, it is not only about feeling suppressed, it is about taking this disciplined action. And if it takes longer to really achieve your goals, then it is what it is. Saturn, it is about testing the limits of time, and we can feel like we run out of time as well. And we're going to need to make some very quick decisions. Aries is about the quickness, and with Mars and its home sign ruffling up all of these feathers here, Mars will need to submit to Saturn's timing, and Mars does not like to do that. But if it's able to do that, then it becomes also incredibly productive. If you're able to tap into the more pleasant energies, and if you do not crack under pressure, then it can be about focused effort and endurance, and also the ability to do a lot of hard things without burning out. So this is really already a wake-up call. But on a collective level, or like on a world stage, Mars, Saturn, when we look at historic cycles, they always coincide with big escalations, breakdowns, crackdowns, conflicts, military pressure, boots on the ground, or like harsh decisions that are going to affect a lot of policies in which we are or not going to are able to be ourselves. So it can also bring a lot of consequences to reckless, impatient actions, and it's going to also expose where force is being misused. And this is a new synodic cycle that is getting kicked off, which means that this cycle is going to play out over the next 2 years until Mars meets up with Saturn again. So this is not like a story about a few days. No, it's going to have longer implications. Definitely with Saturn, it rules over prolonged challenges of like, anger and conflict and being limited or refrained in some kind of way. So this is energy that is not gonna reward impulsivity. It's gonna reward patience. And oh my god, my ears start ringing so loud right now. This is insane. Like, honestly, as an Aries sun at 7 degrees, I'm a little bit, let's say, worried. And definitely also for the world, like, even though, like, if you were an Aries sun, we're going to be able to handle like all of the intense fire. We are born for it. Like, as an Aries, we were born ready. But on a world stage, that is going to be a little bit more difficult to handle, because it's going to reward strategy and patience and responsibility. And anything that is going to be pushed and pushed and pushed without a real plan, it is going to break under this alignment. So this is controlling. It is conflict prone. It is very strong here. Mars and its home sign. Saturn is actually weak. It is like putting gasoline on the fire in my eyes. And we're going to feel like we have to do it now. And that pressure that really like crashes into our reality. And there can be a lot of reactive decisions that are going to come with a very big price tag later on. So do not engage in impulsive fights. Do not set people up for like ultimatums under this energy. Do not make risky moves. Watch your energy levels, and do not be like, I'm going to prove it kind of energy or mindset, because you're going to hit a wall and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. And we're going to see a lot of big world leaders shooting themselves in the foot during this time. But let's just say that it has to happen, that it needs to burst out until things can calm down again. Because the interesting thing that we're witnessing here in 2026 is that even already since December of 25, all the planets have been building up together within one sign. So first they were all in Capricorn, then later they all moved over into Aquarius. Then by the end of February into March, they will all be in Pisces. And then by the end of March into April, they will all be together in Aries. This is quite rare, you guys. We have not been seeing this playing out, definitely not with over like 4 signs in a row. That they meet up in one particular sign, okay, yes, that happens more often, but that they are all traveling together through the same sign, it is pretty rare and special. It is like universe is putting so much emphasis on first Capricorn and Aquarius, now Pisces, and then Aries. And then Aries is like the bomb that explodes. So I can see it like a very big buildup in energy. And in Aries season, we're going to see a very big release, and that having consequences up until end of April and into May, of course, and the rest of the summer. But still, some bubble or thing is about to like pop in April. So if you feel that your anger is rising and building, really find a physical outlet to deal with this energy. Do not let it implode inside of you. Otherwise, there can be inflammation, which is also part of Aries. Aries and Mars, it rules the face. It rules everything that's red, like our blood, our arteries. Saturn, and this is a little bit more difficult, but it's coming into my head, so I might need to say it, but Saturn has a blocking and limiting effect. Saturn blocks, refrains, creates like a stop. Aries, our head, our arteries, the blood. So we need to be careful for congestion. We need to keep our blood flow pumping and just like we need to create some kind of flow within the body. Otherwise, we're going to feel like stuck and everything is going to get inflamed because of our suppressed anger, because we are not taught how to express our anger in a mature way. And that is now the lesson with Saturn here. So a lot of people are going to explode and they're going to meet a lot of difficult consequences by doing that. So really go to the gym, go to the sauna, burn it off. Release your anger in the bedroom, in the fitness, at appropriate places. But most definitely, we're going to see the bit more unaware people. They're going to like blow off. And by them blowing off, it's going to blow off our own socks. So yeah, this is not easy energy here. And people are going to get sick if they do not work on their blood flow. But if they do not work on finding a healthy outlet for releasing this pent-up anger. And anger, it is a good emotion if we are using that in a responsible way. It's about learning how to say no. And that is also something that we are not taught about society or like within our school, or should I say brainwashing center. And this is a very important lesson that is about to be kicked off here in April. Now, on a more positive side, we're going to see Jupiter trine Saturn quite a few times. So the trine between Saturn, and we can also see here that Saturn is at 13 degrees. It's already moved over Neptune. It is like 10 degrees off, which means that the influence and the weakening of Neptune no longer has such a drastic effect on Saturn. So that in itself is already a positive thing, seeing more space between Neptune and Saturn. And then we see the beautiful trine from Jupiter in the sign of Leo. And oh my God, guys, like Jupiter in Leo, then the South Node is also ingressed into the sign of Leo already. Yeah, this is like Jupiter in Leo, like the world stage and everything in regards to our world leaders, it's going to like be amplified, and it's going to be like a whole next level of the circus that we are watching. Like I'm not watching that every day anymore, but I know a lot of you are, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. Jupiter expands and amplifies everything. The sign of Leo, drama, royals, celebrities, people in a very high position, world leaders, leadership, the children. So yeah, but more on that later. The trine between Saturn and Jupiter, it is supportive. It is a stabilizing aspect. Jupiter expands, Saturn grounds, and when they work together in a flowing trine, a positive aspect, then it becomes more sustainable instead of inflated. But it's also going to help us translate our new vision into reality and adding a dose of optimism into that. And it's also about something that actually lasts, Saturn, for long term. So all the hard work that we are needing to put in right now, it's going to start to make more sense during the summer and definitely after the summer for the Northern Hemisphere. We can feel like our efforts are going to start to pay off more. Our plans can become more stable. Our confidence can grow more. We can have evidence or rewards from work well done. And we're going to be able to see the long term or like the long game more clearly. And we're going to feel encouraged rather than overwhelmed by responsibility, which we're going to be needing to deal with in the first couple of months of this year. So we can see progress in our careers or in our long-term commitments. We're going to see a positive development within leadership and on the world stage as well. And it's also about rebuilding trust in ourselves and our own identity. And Leo is a sign of self-expression. Aries is a sign of identity. And that is in a very good flow. So I think a lot of people, and also me and people in your family, are going to have to go through some very tough lessons in the first couple of months. But then if you do act mature, if you do practice patience, if you do not act like a little child and throwing out these temper tantrums, then yeah, you're gonna be rewarded in some kind of way. But it's gonna be heavy to push through or to stick to your own vision, Saturn, Neptune, and Aries, and believing in yourself, believing that you can make it, really pushing against the tide and like not overburdening yourself, but sticking to your own vision and sticking to your long-term plan, even if it's not evolving as quickly as you would like. I've been just going through my Saturn return. I've been working for so many years behind the scenes in isolation and quietness. I have Saturn natally in the sign of Pisces, of course. And now that it's coming out of Pisces, I'm getting a very big reward. And for months and even years, I had the feeling like I'm putting in so much effort and there is no reward. Like, am I on the wrong path? I was doubting myself. I was asking so many questions to people around me. Like, I am good at asking advice, but I'm an Aries. Taking advice, that is another thing. I kept focusing on my own vision, even though sometimes I was in tears and sometimes I was ready to give up, but I didn't. And luckily, I had some people in my neighborhood or in my circle who were supporting me. But Saturn, it is about heaviness. It can feel depressing. It can feel overwhelming. But if you stick to your vision and stick to your plan, and if you do not throw your towel in the ring, and if you keep believing in yourself and keep restructuring your life, and every time you fall down, you pick yourself back up again, then you're going to get the reward of Saturn. Saturn tests like your limits and how far you're able to go for attaining your dreams, Neptune in Aries. And I feel very strongly with the trine from Jupiter to Saturn that this is going to be the moment where we are all collectively and personally are going to receive a lot of rewards from Saturn. And Saturn, it tests you until you hit the limit. But if you show that you want it and if you keep showing up, then Saturn is also the one to reward you. And it is not a simple reward. It is a reward that is going to be so deeply integrated within your own identity that is laying the foundation and the groundwork for years to come. So do not lose hope. Do not lose faith over the next couple of months. Definitely not with all the conflictive energy in the sign of Aries during end of March into April. This is going to be a very big testing phase. If you behave responsible, then after the summer into August, September, you're going to get some kind of a big reward. And it's going to be a long-lasting reward. So really keep that in mind and do not lose your faith and your vision, because things are about to change in a very big, profound way. The South Node entering Leo, the North Node in Aquarius. It's about freedom and truth and breaking free and like liberation and being able to be yourself and breaking through the oppression of people or governments who are going to try to sabotage that in some kind of way. But still, Pluto is an Aquarius. It is exposing the darkness within politics, within society, within groups of people. And it's really about bringing back the power to the people. And also Pluto is going to go out of bounds in August. But yeah, I'm going to talk more about that in another video. But still, the next 9 years are going to be very, very profound. And we need to be very happy to be alive during this current moment, as it is very special and rare astrology that we are witnessing right now. So yeah, if really here, Jupiter trine Saturn, rewards for work well done. And we're going to see also, like, on a collective level, Jupiter Saturn trines, they mark periods in time where societies really do a very big attempt at like restoring the balance after chaos. We always see reforms happening. We see big efforts in rebuilding, and also like a renewed belief that like progress is possible, like a renewed sense of belief in the progress. And that is going to come with a lot of effort, but still, it's not promising ease, but it does promise a lot of hope with new structure being implemented within that. So we all need to collectively and personally remind ourselves that endurance beats urgency. And we are all so wired right now into this dopamine. Where is my phone? It's not really like this dopamine machine of instant gratification and constantly offloading, that escapism and like, yeah, just like distracting yourself with your phone. And that is all not going to work anymore. A lot of people are going to be faced with their short-term attention span. And I know you guys are not belonging to that group, as you're watching, like, I see I'm already talking for 50 minutes. But you guys do not have a shortened attention span. But a lot of people are going to hit the limit with their shortened attention span. And they're going to be faced with the consequences, Saturn, of Neptune and Pisces, when they were like escaping all of the time and distracting themselves and like ruining their attention span, and what these screens and these brainwashing machines and dopamine machines are actually, which effect that actually has on our brain, on our identity. I know brain is like part of Gemini because it's thinking, but brain, it is also inside of the head, and the head is Aries. So there's also like the effects of screens and brainwash are going to become way more obvious now that Saturn and Neptune are in Aries. So yeah, endurance beats urgency, and what's built slowly is going to be able to outlast the crisis. And that is also a very important lesson that we are about to get taught here by Saturn. So yeah, personal predictions. Yeah, I've already talked a whole lot about that. Be careful about being loud without being right with Saturn. That's going to meet up with consequences. Aries, it wants to be the first, but Saturn wants to be the wisest. So do not try to like make this whole a competition. Just use your discernment and your wisdom without trying to like outconquer someone, and by that burning yourself out, and for like rewarding your ego. This is all not necessary. And like, are you acting because you're brave or because you're reactive? And that is also something that we need to reflect upon. We need to set very firm, clear boundaries with Saturn and Aries. We might need to learn how to say no more often. And also, we are going to feel motivated and then delayed. We're going to feel ready and then feel forced to wait. We're going to feel excited, and then that excitement is going to get tested, especially when Uranus is about to move into Gemini by the end of April. And also, if you cannot accept that rhythm, you're going to have a difficult time. If you are able to tune into the, okay, I'm going to go one step and one step ahead, 2 steps back. Now I'm taking 3 steps progress. And if you're able to really lean into the energy of not everything progressing as fast as you would like, then you're gonna thrive. I think Capricorn risings, who already inherently inhabit like the patience, that they're gonna thrive better. Even though if you're a Capricorn rising, Saturn will be in your 4th house and it is going to make a square towards you, but like more about that in 12 signs. Also, Aries, it really like pushes self-reliance, and that is a very beautiful thing. Just be careful about loneliness. A lot of people are gonna be like, well, okay, I'm gonna all do it by myself, and what I do best, I do better. Like, this is like really one of my mottos, honestly. I really need to learn how to ask for help. Aries is very on itself, and it's very extrovert, but still it's like Aries, it doesn't have a lot of patience. It likes to do things themselves. They are very pioneering, it is about ignition. But Aries, and definitely some pattern I recognize inside of myself, is that I like to start a lot of projects, but finishing them or like wrapping things up, that is so difficult for me. Like, I love photography, and my hard disk is like filled probably with over 10,000 pictures that I've never even edited, that I've never showed to the world. It's like people were saying to me, like, Astrid, you are not taking yourself seriously with your photography, and you need to like finish your projects and you need to show them and this and that. But I just like to take photos. I like to be in the moment. But if I was more able to really finish up everything and yeah, afwerken. Oh, sometimes these words in English and Mercury that is about to station retrograde here. I need to be more able to finish my projects and show them to the world. And that would then give this implication of me taking myself more seriously. And I'm just like giving this little example of how I resonate with the energy and how that's giving like maybe an example for you guys. Maybe you're going to recognize that. But for me, it's not about showing off the pictures to the world. For me, the essence is taking pictures and being in the moment and forgetting everything else. And for me, that is just like simply enough. But maybe now the universe is not going to be happy anymore with that being simply enough. It is about taking yourself seriously and really structuring your fire and believing in yourself and showing your identity in a mature way. So yeah, maybe that could have helped as an example. If we then look at the changes on a collective and geopolitical level, I've also already talked about that, but still impulsive leaders are going to get exposed. Leadership that is based on ego is going to hit a lot of consequences. Power grabs are going to trigger a lot of backlash. On the positive side, we're going to see new young leaders. Aries is young, it is the baby, it is young people, new young strategic leaders, ethical leadership, more patience within leadership. And you know who I think has a lot of patience? The guy from Russia. And Saturn Neptune, it has very strong implications for Russia. And I'm not like putting him on a pedestal, because I'm very strongly convinced that if you get in such a high top position, then there's something about your soul or integrity that is probably not right. But still, I think the guy has a lot of patience. And if they would have been provoking me for so many years, I don't know if I would be so patient. So just throwing that out there. But also, rebellion is going to grow. And I also really strongly hope, because I just strongly hope that NATO's Article 5 is not going to get kicked off in April. Or like Saturn is also obligation. Aries is a sign of war. Conscription, is it going to come up? Probably. But it's going to receive strong backlash from the people, and they're going to say, no, we're not doing this. So this is also going to be very interesting to see how people are going to refuse to go to war. And we're also going to see that Aries is about escalation and aggression, and Saturn is about accountability and limits. So force is going to meet with a lot of resistance and karmic consequences, and escalations are going to be met with a lot of reality checks. And also, like, this short-term domination is going to create long-term blowback as well. So yeah, the lesson on a collective or like geopolitical stage is that they are not gonna get to act like consequences do not exist. Neptune can inspire glamorization of war, definitely earlier on in the transit right now, but Saturn is what makes reality show up later, and it's going to give a lot of consequences. So how to work with it? Choose integrity over intensity. Intensity, it is so cheap. Everyone can be intense. Integrity is rather rare these times. And integrity becomes very productive and it's going to be rewarded by Saturn. So if you act from values, you can survive all of the consequences. If you act from your ego, then Saturn is going to correct you fast. Aries is fast karmic repercussions. But definitely not about short-term satisfaction. It's really about building something real. If you've been wanting to start a business, a project, a new path, a new identity, if you want to create a family, grow your family, really take up more responsibilities within your identity, then that is a good way to handle this energy. Do not overwork. Do not distract yourself from your feelings by overworking. Do not take on more pressure than you can handle. Eliminate harsh self-talk, and also release the I must push harder mentality, because that is going to create a very tense reality. We need to pace ourselves and be kind to ourselves. We need to we need to speak in a very kind way to ourselves the next couple of years. But definitely not about suppressing the Aries, but about maturing the Aries. Courage with integrity and independence without isolation, and action with taking into account the consequences, and leadership without domination. So yeah, we're going to see a bit more chaos as this all first unfolds, but we're also going to see people getting way more stronger and clearer and more honest and more real, and thank God for that. I'm so over the whole Pisces bullshit and everyone just pretending that they're so spiritual and that they have the full truth and their side is right and they have all the truth within politics. And I'm so over it, honestly. It is about really self-authority that you can actually trust, and that is true, and that is real. Saturn is real reality. So with Neptune, it's also about believing in yourself, and really do not forget to do that. All right. With that being said, we're going to do the readings for the 12 signs. And I'm going to be a bit more quick on them, because you can also, of course, listen to the video that I've posted last year or 8 months ago about the Saturn and Aries transit, which I've already did the readings for the 12 signs, of course. So if you want additional information, you are free to really check that out. I've linked it down below. So if you do not know your birth chart, you can go to astroseek.com, choose birth chart, plug in your birth details, and the first line is going to be your rising sign. So first listen to your rising, then you can listen to your sun sign as well. All right, we're going to start with Aries, sun, moon, or rising. So you, of course, are the star of today's show, because Saturn and Neptune, they are both ingressing into your sign. So yeah, depending on which aspects it makes in your own chart, really check that out before you freak out. If it makes trines, it's about maturity and new long-term responsibility, and it's really about growing up. So it can be very, very positive. If it makes squares to other planets, then it might be a little bit more difficult to handle the energy. So check out your own chart. But your first house is your house of self. It is a very, even like, I'm gonna say, the most defining periods of your life. Unless you're born with Saturn in Aries. If you're born 30 years ago, 28 or 30 years or so, then you're gonna have your Saturn return. That is then gonna be a little bit more difficult. So maybe I need to do another video about that as well for people who are born with Saturn and Aries natally. That is gonna be different. But the first house is about identity and self-image and your personal direction and how you meet the world and people's first impression of you. So it's the lens through which you like experience life. And Saturn here, it asks you to take your magnifying glass, look at yourself, look at your own identity, look at your patterns, and where you need to grow up and mature more, because you're going to feel a strong push to level up, to step up, to claim responsibility for who you're becoming. And it's not about like pointing fingers anymore and you need to fix that problem for me. No. Now you're going to need to fix your own problems from now on. So it's deep restructuring of your sense of self, and you're going to feel compelled to do a lot of hard work on yourself, to refine your goals, to approach your life with like more discipline. And this is about self-defined authority, and much of the pressure you won't feel, a lot of the pressure that you feel, it won't be for like, it's going to come from yourself. Be careful not to put too much pressure on yourself. You're going to set higher standards. You're going to create your own rules. You're going to feel internally driven to live up to them and to make that a reality. But do not be too strict and tough on yourself, because you're going to be met with increased responsibilities. People are going to look to you for leadership, for like answers or for direction, and they're going to put you in some kind of authority position. And the choices you're going to be making, or the things that you're going to be saying, or the things that you're going to be doing, they're going to carry far more weight than you're used to. This is totally going to reshape how you see yourself and also how other people are seeing you. So Aries, you are very out there and blunt and honest already, and bold and spontaneous and youthful, very adventurous. But Saturn now, it is about reliability and people being able to lean and build upon you. And do not refrain your own fire. You need to wield it, and wield it with precision and direct it in a positive way, in a structured way. So you're becoming more grounded. This is like the adult Aries that is being born right now. Confident, sure of themselves, steady, self-composed, calm, not being so reactive anymore. Like when I was a teenager, oh my God, I was so reactive. It is just like, okay, if you want to fight, like, let's bring it on. And that is something that needs to like stop right now. If you're still within that mindset of I need to conquer everyone, I need to be right. And Aries, they can be quite bossy, honestly. And now Saturn is actually the boss. So now you can be a structured boss and a healthy boss, I think. Do not become the tyrant. If you are like self-employed and you have people working for you, make sure that you use that in the correct way and do not think more highly of yourself. Also, it's just like what you're building now, it is also not about instant confidence, and some Aries are going to try to hide and make them appear better than they are because they're going to feel the pressure of Saturn. But it's really about building this self-earned trust. You need to set very long, meaningful goals and steadily work towards them. And they're not going to pay off immediately. But within a couple of years, they're going to be a whole new foundation. So others are going to notice it, how hardworking you are, how mature, how responsible. And they might come up to you and look for answers, and you're gonna carry this new quiet authority, and that is gonna form like a new grounded confidence. So it's about calm confidence as well, and that overruling your impulsive force. You are such a force of nature, Aries, and you don't need to prove yourself. Your maturity, your integrity, and your consistency is going to speak for itself. And do not doubt yourself with Neptune here as well. And sometimes, like Aries, they are tough, but it's a mask to hide away like the infantry feelings, and sometimes they can really doubt themselves, and Neptune here is gonna strengthen that feeling, but then Saturn is gonna come in and show them that they can rely on themselves, and that creating a whole new structure within your identity. But Saturn, be careful of working too much and burning out, because Saturn is gonna show you the limits. If you're going to overburden yourself, do not fix everyone's problems, because you're going to have a very big job and like an overwhelming challenge. Learn how to say no. Be your own authority. Do not give your authority away to other people anymore. Be careful about victimization as well with Neptune here. But yeah, you're going to do so many things for the first time in your life, my dear Aries, and they're going to show you how capable you actually are. And your potential is far greater than what you believed, Neptune. And Saturn is going to help you to make that all a new reality step by step over the next 2 years of time. So yeah, just know that true confidence, it is not rushed, it is built, and it's going to be building one deliberate step at a time, and it's not going to be as fast as you would like. So I wish you a lot of good luck, but most of all, a lot of patience. Okay, we have Taurus and Moon or Rising. You're going to have Saturn in your 12th house. And the 12th house, it is about your inner world, your subconscious patterns. It's about solitude, your spiritual life, and also the habits and also the beliefs that you carry behind the scenes. It is a very private house. And it's not very loud or externally visible. It is about reflection and withdrawal and working very quietly on yourself. And it's also about confronting or like meeting reality within your self-sabotaging patterns in the 12th house, and how you can restructurize your subconscious mind as well. And it's about really intentional solitude and step back from the noise and all the external expectations and all the draining dynamics, so you can get like a clearer sense of what's really going on beneath the surface. It is about strengthening your internal boundaries, and you're gonna be pulling away from people, environments that wear you down in a very subtle way, and it can feel confusing and uncomfortable. It can feel like a lot of the things are falling away in your life, and it can feel a little bit overwhelming, but it's going to teach you that quiet recalibration is going to be like very useful or very important over the next 2 years. So very beautiful time for spiritual practices and becoming more disciplined within them, doing the inner work and really looking at your self-sabotaging behavior, and doing more spiritual practices like meditation or energy work, or like prayer, journaling, yoga, soul retrieval, Reiki, mindfulness are all gonna benefit you very, very much. 12th house is very karmic, and Saturn is the lord of karma. Everyone or everything that falls away right now just like served its karmic purpose, and it can be a little bit sad sometimes to lose certain things, lose certain peoples, but it's actually about them or it just serving its purpose and that being like released. The 12th house is a house of cleansing and releasing and letting go, final goodbye. So a lot of the things can get dissolved. That is also a very big quality of the 12th house. So um, you're gonna be so much confronted with coping mechanisms and your behaviors in avoidance, escapism, and Saturn is very critical and very strict. And this is like constructive correction about responsibility and taking more responsibility. It's not about punishment, although sometimes it can feel like that. But you're gonna also become way much aware about like all the subtle negative influences about people, environments, emotional dynamics, and everything that is quietly draining your energy. So people are. It's also about like if you've been like absorbing a lot of people's negativity or pessimism and resentment, that is going to become unbearable, and you're going to free yourself from that, and you're going to need to for your mental health and also your physical health. Saturn is opposite the sixth. So yeah, it's also about like this unhealthy emotional projection and from yourself and other people, and it can about withdrawing yourself from that. And you're gonna come face to face with like self-doubt and fears that are bubbling up from the subconscious, and it's gonna help you clear out everything and all the big mess that you've accumulated over the last 30 years is gonna come up for a review, and you're shedding that before Saturn enters your sign within 2 years. So this is like a cleansing and a preparation kind of period, and it's really about restructuring your inner stability and your spiritual maturity, and it's about self-reliance as well. So yeah, in the quiet corners of your soul in the 12th house, you're gonna rediscover a lot of strengths even from past lives that are gonna help you carry you forward in the next year. And it's going to be a very profound spiritual transformation, and it's also going to happen during your sleep and during times of isolation and withdrawal. Put more emphasis on your mental health. If you need more rest, listen to that. It is okay for you, my dear Taurus, to take some rest. But Uranus is about to move out of your sign as well by the end of April. It's going to be such a major shift, and a lot of the volatility is going to leave your life, and then you're going to be like met with the aftermath of that. And Saturn and Neptune are going to help to rewire your hard disk, as I like to call it, like the subconscious, and that's going to help you massively, even though it can come with sometimes a lot of tears and release and letting go. Good luck, my dear Taurus. All right, Gemini, you're going to have Saturn moving into your 11th house, and that is the house of your social sphere. It is your friendships, your communities, your future-oriented goals and dreams as well, like your hopes and aspirations for the future. And it's really about Saturn here asking you to take on a more of, mature social role, or you can also bump into very important people while networking, people who are in some kind of authority position that can open up new doors for you. If you've been working very, very hard on your own business or enterprise, Saturn can give you like a lot of rewards from the 10th house from your work, and that is being then given to you in either people helping you and opening up new doors, or like a karmic payout of work well done in more financial abilities as well. So yeah, the 11th house can sometimes give a windfall of like money, especially if you are self-employed in the 10th house. But also like it's like a position, taking on a position of leadership within a group or within your friend groups, and authority within your community or within your friendships is just going to be a very, very big team, and it's going to show up in your professional networks, in your projects, combined projects on social platforms, social media. Yeah, you're going to take all of that more seriously. And it's also, yeah, about your social life is going to become way more purposeful and less casual, and it's way more about long-term consequences within your friend groups as well, meeting up with older people, and also some friendships or groups are going to be cut off or going to be falling away with Saturn Neptune and dissolving a lot of the structures, just because you realize that they no longer support your growth or reflect your values, and that's going to be replaced with like fewer people. Saturn tends to restrict and refrain, but the fewer people are going to be stronger, more reliable, more aligned with your future. So just take that as something very positive. It's also about like strategic goal setting, and while networking, really attaining those goals as well. So yeah, put your big visions into like realistic steps and really commit to the effort that you are required to make them like real. So Neptune here as well, it can be very expansive, like your dreams for the future can be more spiritual, more expansive, and Saturn really ensures that they don't stay like just a vision. They're gonna bring them into reality. So it really helps you to like crystallize all of the inspiration into form. So that is actually very beautiful. It's gonna help you build lasting alliances, new friendships, more credibility within your social sphere, really creating a future that is going to be supported by fewer but the right people. The 11th house is like our soul tribe. So can be about more older, mature people entering your soul tribe during this time, and they're going to teach you more responsibility within the social spheres, and that can open up a lot of important doors. So good luck, my dear Gemini. We have Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Saturn is going to ingress into your 10th house. So very strong emphasis on career, your public role, your long-term direction in life. A lot of people with Saturn in the 10th, they tend to retire. So with people with Saturn in the 10th house, they tend to retire. A bit weird sentence, but still. Okay. The 10th house is very visible, and the 10th house, Saturn belongs traditionally to the 10th house. So he actually operates quite well within the 10th house. He likes to be there. He's in fallen Aries, but he still, however, he likes to be in the 10th house. So that is positive for you, my dear Cancer. You might need to take your ambitions more seriously now. There is going to be a sharp increase and responsibility, pressure, and accountability within your career or vocation, or if you are self-employed, definitely at a job you could be like placed in a new higher positions where there are going to be a lot of new expectations that can happen through promotion, a new opportunity, or maybe you're going to be relied upon more heavily than before by your boss. Your boss can be adding a lot of extra responsibilities or like heaviness. If you are not self-employed, or if you're like, if you do not have a job, then you can feel restricted by authority positions. That is also a theme. It all depends on your situation, right? But your integrity is under a lot of scrutiny. All of your actions, your decisions, and all of the ethics within your work surroundings are way more visible now. And definitely by people who have something to say over you. And if you have difficulties with your father, then this might be a theme the next 2 years where you are battling for the position of authority. And your father can prove to be a little bit of a block here as well. Maybe he's a little bit too strict. There's also a possibility. But yeah, the themes of authority are going to be a little bit more difficult. But either you are going to step into more authority yourself, or you're going to be confronting authority figures whose influence actually no longer aligns with your values, and that creating a little bit of a push and pull dynamic. So yeah, tests in leaderships are going to arise. Saturn wants more maturity, emotional steadiness, long-term thinking over like reactive ambition. So yeah, this could be a very big course correction within your career. It can feel very slow, but it's going to be very solid over time. So even if there are some challenges that are going to arise, they are designed to actually put you in a greater authority over your own life direction. And maybe you're going to need to battle with some authority figures in your life to maybe for the first time embody your own leadership and authority position. So I hope that makes sense. Good luck, my dear Cancer. We have Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You are going to have Saturn ingressing into your 9th house. And the 9th is the house of your world view, or like your beliefs about the world, belief systems, ethics, morals, your sense of meaning, and also understanding like the bigger picture and your place in the world. And this is really the mental frameworks, or like the moral frameworks here in the 9th house. It is through which you interpret like the world and your future, and it's also about traveling and long distance connections and people from a different cultural background than your own. So yeah, this is really about taking your beliefs and understanding the world in a very serious manner. And it might even be a little bit depressing at first with Saturn ingressing here, but you're going to study more, read more, engage more with things that are like expanding your horizon in some kind of way. You can be very serious about a new course or like a new education. This is also about higher wisdom or higher education. It can be about a very specific course, a certification, diplomacy, getting your degree and all of that after working very hard for it. So this is totally going to restructure your world view, and Saturn pushes you to really define what you truly believe and what you stand for, and also what principles are actually guiding your decisions. And you're going to be met with the reality of that. Is it true? Is it ethical? Does it matter? All of that becomes very unavoidable, and you're going to make a shift in how you believe. And you need to take a lot of responsibilities for your beliefs and make sure they are not blocking you with Saturn here. Maybe you're so convinced about a certain moral or ethical theme that it's actually even blocking yourself, and Neptune is dissolving them so a new structure can come into place here. So on the other side, if you're a teacher, the 9th house is also about like guiding or teaching, and you might be compelled to do more writing, speaking, teaching, sharing your knowledge in some kind of way and your wisdom. And something that you also might be a little bit mindful for is that you're going to have a test of faith or belief or some kind of thing. And life experiences are really going to challenge you and challenge the assumptions that you've had and held for such a long time here. And you're going to need to reassess how the world works for you, and what you thought was guaranteed might not be the way. And your whole look on the world is going to be dissolving and restructuring, and it's going to change in a very profound way over the next 2 years. And if you're in some kind of court case, the 9th house is also law and legality. Then dealings within those realms might take extra planning or help from an authority figure or a lawyer, or extra patience within them is necessary as well. But still, you need to really like build a worldview that can stand the test of time and reality and wisdom. It isn't about having all the answers. It's really about being very willing to be willing to learn about them more. So good luck, my dear Leo. We have Virgo, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You're going to have Saturn moving through your 8th house. So the next 2 years is going to bring a very deep restructuring and like a serious restructuring around shared resources and the emotional, financial, and energetic entanglements you share with other people. It's also about trust and power dynamics, psychological insights, trauma and resilience, and all of that. So the 8th is complex and intense, but It's not only about like financial ties to others, it can also be about like codependency patterns, karmic connections, intimacy, transformation, resurrection. And this is not only about like restructuring your shared finances, and you might need to be a little bit comfortable with having to go into debt or like arranging your taxes, your loans. It can also be about inheritances, and of course also like the entanglements with your marriage partner. But still, make sure you put an emphasis on releasing burdens and releasing debt, and it's really about financial planning and also taking responsibility for situations that you might have avoided in the past and now that is coming back up, in order for you to be more mature in those realms here. But it's also about really emotional and psychological resilience, and you're going to need to like step up in certain situations where you've never had to do that before. You're going to rediscover strengths through hardships that you've never like discovered before. And Saturn in the 8th, it might block help from other people in regards to finances. It's about maturing and doing it yourself. So it's also about healing old wounds. If something were to be traumatic in a past life or in this lifetime, whether it's financially, emotionally, sexually, then Saturn is going to bring up those wounds and in order to transform them. But it's especially connected to like violations of your boundaries and manipulation, and also trauma or some kind of unhealthy power dynamic that is going to come into focus in order for you to be understood and to fully process and why you have certain desires and what the karmic repercussions are from your desires and why certain patterns formed in your life and the role you played in that. And it's just so you will not like keep stuck in the same pattern. It's actually deep psychological and emotional work here. You're gonna benefit greatly from therapy and trauma, like exercises like TAURUS, trauma release exercise. That is actually going to be very helpful for you. Anything that is connected to like, if you are someone who practices like the occult arts, and if you are not using that in the most best healthy way, but not full of integrity, Saturn in the 8th house is gonna be major karmic repercussions. So be careful about that. And sometimes we do not do it intentionally. Sometimes we can even curse someone when we're mad. Especially the 8th house for you, Virgo, here is ruled by Aries. Aries is about feisty fireness. Be very careful not to curse anyone, not to put black spells on them, to be, yeah, also vice versa, guys. Like I've already talked about it, about Neptune in the 8th house. You can look at my video, Neptune ingresses into Aries, that I've posted a couple of days ago. All the occult realms are not to be messed with, like never. But now it's Saturn in the 8th house. Who, dear Lord, we need to protect ourselves. It is just like psychic vampires are falling within the 8th house. Saturn is about karma. It can also be about past life issues coming back up into our life. I feel like as a Virgo rising with Neptune already there, that like the psychicness or like the psychic powers or the intuition or whatever you want to call it, it is enhanced, it is strengthened, it is something opened up. But the attacks in reverse are getting stronger as well. And I think that is Saturn teaching us maturity and responsibility and needing to draw boundaries and learning how to say no and protect ourselves from negative, unwanted energies in our life. And that is going to be also one of the focuses in the next 2 years. So, yeah. true power, it comes from knowing yourself and trusting your strength, and believing in yourself and your occult powers and using them in a very responsible way is actually one of the main themes here. I think it's even more important than like the shared finances, but that is just like my opinion with my Pisces stellium. So good luck, my dear Virgo. We have Libra, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So Libra, you're going to have Saturn ingressing into your 7th house. So the next 2 years, very big focus is placed on your partnerships and your relationships. They are going to be front and center because it's in your opposing sign of you, Libra and Aries. The other side of the wheel, it's your polarizing opposite. So it's how you relate to other people and how you form intimate and romantic partnerships. And it's also about your close friends and your business partnerships. 7 can even be about open rivals. This is a very big mirroring that is going on here, and it's the place where you meet the others. So a way more serious undertone to your relationships, more serious than you've ever had in your life, unless you're over 30 and you've already experienced the Saturn in your 7th house now, of course. Like, I mean, if you've already like been through a cycle, like, of course, if you're over 30 and you're born with Saturn and Aries, then you're still not going to experience the implications. I mean, like if you are, let's say, for example, over 50 or 60 years old and you've already been through like a cycle of Saturn in your 7th house, then you're going to be able to look back at what happened during that time. So that is important. Look that up for yourself, as it's going to give you more answers about what it's about to bring right now. So this is it is like responsibility, commitment, mutual respect within your closest bonds. And Libra, you are someone who's very giving, even over giving, and now you're gonna like rebalance the scales. And you keep silent to keep the peace, you like harmony, but you cannot ignore your own needs. And are people actually showing up for you the way that you show up for them, or are you carrying more than what they share? And that is going to be the theme in the next 2 years. And you're going to grow stronger, more mature, more resilient. And Saturn can also like solidify partnerships that are built on honesty and accountability and like mutual effort and responsibility. But that only happens over a long term. And it's also about like deep trust and being able to count and lean on other people. But Saturn is not going to tolerate imbalances. So if people are relying on you, and if they are using excuses, if they're not responsible, if they're not mature, then the relationship is probably going to fall away. Every relationship that already exists, that's going to survive, Saturn going through the 7th house is going to be like a test well done, or like succeeding in your partnership. And then you're going, like Saturn can also act like the glue that binds people together. So that is also one of the major themes here. So it either is going to break away or you're going to get glued together even more strongly. Every relationship that withstands the test of time now with Saturn is like going to be in your life for a very long and stable time. So it's actually a relationship test with Saturn in the 7th. You can ask your Virgo risings how they've done with that. And I'm assuring you it ain't easy. So there's going to be times where you're going to want to put on the brakes and be like, is this actually what I want in my life? And then other times you're going to be met with a challenge, and he's going to be such a vangnet. How do you say vangnet? He's going to be such a safe space, and he's going to like really catch you when you fall, and he's going to provide stability and closeness, and it's going to be sometimes like a push and pull effect. But it's really about like looking at it with a very serious magnifying glass. And with Neptune, you need to be careful for people who mislead you. I'm already just like saying that if someone is a substance abuser in any kind of way, if he's a spiritual bypasser, if he has like avoidant patterns or like an avoidant attachment style, then it's going to be very difficult. So do not let your own limits being crossed, or like do not let your own boundaries being crossed here with Saturn and Neptune together. And definitely a whole new way of looking at partnerships. So definitely all the relationships that are going to remain after that, business, one-on-one relationship, or like romantic, they are going to become way stronger, more clearer, more sustainable, more dependable, and you're going to feel less resentment after the transit. So it is actually true harmony here. It requires a lot of honesty and structure. So yeah, fairness for you, my dear Libra. It really begins when you honor yourself as much as you honor others, and that is going to be the lesson here for you. So I wish you good luck. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, you are going to have the ingress of Saturn and Aries into your 6th house. And it's worth to mention that Scorpio, you are a sign that's going to have to pay a little bit more attention to this transition, because the 6th house, it deals with health and your daily routine, but also Aries makes a quincunx aspect towards you. So if you're a Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising, with planets within the first 15 degrees of Scorpio, then along this year, you're going to have a 150-degree aspect of Saturn towards you. And these are not easy aspects to deal with. So really pay attention to your health, because the 6th house, it is your responsibilities, like daily responsibilities, your habits, your physical well-being. So the effort that you are going to put in here, the systems that you rely on a daily basis, and they're all going to show you how sustainable you're living your life, and if that's still like being beneficial towards you. And Saturn in the 6th, it can mean a lot of work, taking your daily responsibilities very seriously, and you might see an increased workload and expectations, obligations. Some of you are going to need to start anew from the ground up in regards to your job. Can feel a little bit draining, but definitely this is like heavier job demands or responsibilities at your job, or like additional tasks, and you might need to really optimize your schedule, and it's about organization and discipline also. So it is actually about productivity that is being increased here with Saturn, but you might not immediately see the rewards of all the efforts that you're going to be putting in. So, of course, if you take into account like the aspects that I've been going through earlier in this video, you're going to see the Saturn-Mars conjunction around the middle of April happening into your 6th house. That can indicate like a little bit of a burnout, of overburdening, and that having a bad impact on your health. So be mindful during the month of April, so late March into April, while the stellium is building into your 6th house. Put extra attention onto your health, guys. And also know, if you take on more responsibilities, that is only going to pay off later whenever Saturn makes a trine to Jupiter. Jupiter will be ingressing into your 10th house, and that is then going to be a time of more breakthrough. But up until then, before September, don't be too hard on yourself. Take extra notice of the subtle signals that your body will be sending you, and also you might need to set some more boundaries within your daily job, within your office space, within your colleagues, with your boss. All of that is about maturing, but Saturn can be a lot of work. I've just went through Saturn through the 6th house, and although it didn't affect my health apart from my tooth, other than that, it was just like an increased amount of work, and sometimes hitting the limits and feeling like I got time short on hands, and like it felt sometimes also rather lonely because I had such a big amount of workloads coming through. And be sure to also make time for fun And you're going to have a Mercury retrograde here at the end of the month, starting on the 26th of February, going through your 5th house of fun. And it might reignite some hobbies or passions from the past, and it might be necessary to take that with you or make time for them as Saturn ingresses into your 6th house. So be careful about burnout, be careful about health issues, your stress levels rising, your cortisol levels spiking. Aries is about inflammation as well. Saturn can be about joints and bones, and it can give also a weaker immune system. Saturn here on top of Neptune. Neptune really weakens Saturn, and Saturn can also be about karmic implications. If you have not been taking good care of your health, then Saturn now can give you like the karmic payout. So be very, very mindful about that. But it can also be about like taking on a bigger leadership position within your job or within the work that you do. That is also a possibility here. So good luck, my dear Scorpio. We have Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Saturn is going to ingress into your 5th house, and that is the house of joy, creativity, pleasure, your self-expression, the things that make your heart sing. The positive thing here, my dear Sagittarius, is that is making a trine towards your Sun, Moon, or Rising. So that is very, very beneficial energy. It's going to strengthen you, put new foundational levels. You can become more serious about your hobbies and your leisure time and the activities that make your heart sing. And that can prove to be of like a stabilizing factor within the year ahead here in 2026. So the 5th house is where things get born. You might even become more serious towards like topics of children. The 5th house is also our inner child. So Saturn here can be some kind of a limiting effect. Be careful, like be mindful about it. Do not let Saturn limit your or restrain your sense of having fun. You need to prioritize it, take it more serious. You need to protect it and really implement that more seriously into your life. So do not like postpone pleasure or creativity in the sake of responsibility. You need to like balance that out. And with Neptune here as well, it can be a little bit more confusing, having more time for fun activities, but it's also putting an emphasis on your sense of fun becoming more spiritualized and really bringing in your vision about fun into reality here at Saturn, and having joy. It is your birthright. So it's very essential to your well-being. Now, luckily, during the trine of Jupiter in Leo in your 9th house towards you, towards Saturn and Aries, you're going to have a very big fire trine after the summer, September into November, and that is going to be very, very beneficial time for you, my dear Sagittarius. So you need to like maybe refine a craft in the 5th house. You can even become very serious about your hobby and making it your job, or like base an income off of that, or like become like some kind of leadership position within teaching your craft to other people as well. Definitely with the trine from Jupiter in Leo towards you and Saturn later during the year, that can be like a big new source of inspiration. But Saturn then asks you to really be disciplined and commit to your sense of inspiration and the new ideas, and really being consistent within them. And yeah, it is like, if you hit creative blocks, that is a possibility here with Saturn in the 5th. Trust the process with Neptune. Do not abandon your passions. You need to refine them and commit to them. And it's also about doing the inner child work here with Saturn in the 5th house. And really think about the things that used to give you a lot of joy whenever you were a child, and reignite that. It's also like, if your father has been limiting your self-expression, that can become a major theme that you need to work through in the next couple of years, 2 years to be exact. But just know that it's part of the process, and that's then going to have a liberating effect, and it's going to change your whole mindset whenever it trines to Jupiter in Leo. But definitely, You need to cultivate your joy and take it very serious, and just know that your joy, it is going to grow from when you give it time and structure and also permission to exist. And that is a very, very important part, because I remember when I had Saturn in the 5th house, that I didn't make enough time for joy. And it is actually something that I regret. So I want to really put an emphasis on that, so you do not make the same mistake. It's just Saturn trines the sun. That is going to be very positive. Also trine your rising. It makes beautiful aspects towards you. So it's not going to be as limiting as it was for me with the Virgo rising back in the day. But still, just prioritize joy. And then you're going to be good for the coming 2 years. So good luck, my dear Sagittarius. We have Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising. You're going to have your chart ruler, Saturn, moving into Aries, into your 4th house. So it's going to make a square towards your Sun, Moon, or Rising. If you have degrees or like planets or angles or rising within the first 15 degrees of Capricorn, and this year you're going to receive a Saturn square. So your chart ruler squaring you, that is like a very big emphasis on having to mature and grow up and taking more responsibility around the home. The 4th house, it is about your family, your emotional foundations, your inner sense of security and belonging, and the people that you live with together. So maybe some of you are going to become a parent and you need to take on more responsibility at home, but it's actually also a big implication on a deep restructuring of your inner foundation. It is a very sensitive point, and maybe some of you are going to have to take care for an elder, most likely your mother, but Saturn resembles the father. So actually it's in the parental axis. So either you are becoming a parent or you might need to take care for an elder. That is very possible here. And definitely the roles within your family, they might shift. It might become a little bit of a burden. So be careful not to neglect your own emotional world in order to be the responsible one at home, or that's going to become a little bit burdensome for you. So also think which responsibilities are truly yours and which ones might need new boundaries with Saturn here. And yeah, it could involve like caregiving, simply being dependable when a challenge arises. And I know you are very dependable, my dear Capricorn, but still your chart ruler in an angular house squaring you, you don't need to sacrifice yourself or your family, and you're going to be tested by that. Clarify expectations, refuse to carry burdens that actually aren't fair. There can be some karmic residue coming up from the whole karmic family line, your family lineage. Something from the past is coming back up again, and definitely a very big emphasis on handling your patterns of upbringing in a very responsible way. And maybe Neptune is going to dissolve some of the patterns, and then Saturn is going to replace some of the structures. So this is about like deep emotional clarity, and you're going to reflect upon your upbringing, all the inherited patterns that shaped your sense of duty and safety and belonging. And some old situations are going to come up to have some karmic repercussions being placed into that. But definitely, also, if you want to move, look at the structures of your house, look at the basement. Is everything all right? There can be some hidden issues within like the down floor, the basement, the ground upon which the house rests. Be sure to inspect that as well. So I wish you a lot of good luck within your family relationships and within breaking ancestral curses. Neptune is going to help you dissolve some of the curses if you were able to, if you were born with that. And I think we are all born with that, honestly. We all need to like clean up karmic residue from our family line. But definitely for you, that's going to be a very, very big team. Just know that also there can be some money coming off during September when Saturn is going to make a trine to Jupiter in your 8th house, and you then can actually have like profit from investments, and by that you can move homes. Maybe someone is going to pass away in your family and you receive an inheritance. That is also possible with the trine from Jupiter and Saturn in the 4th and the 8th house. So definitely I think there's a lot of things that are coming into view or are going to come up in regards to family matters in the next 2 years. So I wish you good luck, my dear Capricorn. We have Aquarius, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So you are going to have Saturn ingressing into your 3rd house, and that is the house of thinking patterns, communication, learning, your immediate environment. It's also dealing with brothers, sisters, like siblings, neighbors, being on the road is all part of the 3rd house. So yeah, Saturn here is about taking your words, your thoughts, and your mental habits very, very serious. It's also about seriously processing the information and being mature and the information that you process on a daily basis, and really being very discerned and use your discernment in that, because your communication style is going to become more serious, more pragmatic, more structured, maybe more authoritative. Excuse me. So sometimes there's going to be less room for like the casual conversations, and you're going to be thinking more seriously about what you say and also how you say it. So the 3rd house is the mental captivity, and it's about responsibilities and obligations and planning, and you're going to find out from yourself that you're thinking more ahead, you're weighing all the consequences. It's about thinking and talking in a very strategic kind of way. Saturn on the 3rd house can also put like a damper on our mind and our conscious brain. Can feel heavy at times, but it's actually Saturn maturing you, and it's about increasing your productivity as well. But mental organization is actually a very big theme here. Structure your days, your conversations, and also 3rd house is also about studying and learning. So some of you are going to take on a whole new study. It can be very formal, very structurized. Can also about getting a certification that is going to help you put your new skills into practice or gaining from them. And this is really about like disciplined learning and studying very serious topics as well. So just know, tune in with yourself, with your thoughts. Let's see from day to day how you're doing. Neptune in the 3rd can give a little bit of brain fog, and then Saturn can sometimes make it a little bit harder. But also be mindful of your manifestation power through your words during this time. Neptune is about what we imagine and the unseen realms, and Saturn structurizes your thoughts and the things you say into reality. So just know that you are very powerful by creating your reality with your words right now. So make sure you speak the right words, definitely also towards yourself. Do not be too critical or too strict on yourself. And if you say something wrong, just apologize and do not be too hard on yourself. Saturn in the 3rd can be just really about mental discipline and authority within your communication skills, and you're going to learn how to think under pressure, and that effort that you're going to put in is going to become a very big strength. So when your thoughts are going to be organized, your voice is carrying real power, and you're going to be faced with that in the next 2 years. So good luck, my dear Aquarius. We have Pisces, Sun, Moon, or Rising. So my dear Pisces, you have Saturn activating your 2nd house. And I hate to say it, but the 2nd house is money, and Saturn puts some kind of a damper or a refrain on that. So yeah, there's a very strong emphasis on money, resources, self-worth, your long-term security, and all of that is being tested by Saturn right now. So it's actually how worthy and secure you feel on a deeper level, and you need to take your resources very seriously right now. You might need to be motivated or forced to budget a little bit more. More disciplined behavior needs to be added or implemented here with Saturn in the 2nd house. It's really about long-term planning in regards to your finances and how you make your income. So it might also see like a slow, steady accumulation. It is not about short-term satisfaction, but just know that if you are going to save more, then that is gonna accumulate. Do not be impulsive with your spending behavior. Aries is a very impulsive sign, so Saturn is now teaching you and testing you and maturing you in those realms. So This can be about stable growth, but you're gonna need to be patient. And Saturn is about consistency. If you're gonna be able to resist impulsive spending, and look at the things that are for long-term stability instead of short-term satisfaction or gratification or like instant gratification, then you're gonna do pretty well. So it all depends on your own behavior and how safe and secure you feel within yourself. And if you are someone who needs to distract themselves by buying useless things, it all depends. It depends a lot on yourself as well. But yeah, you need to slow down your impulses, especially around spending. And it also governs over your sense of self-worth. Scarcity mindset that needs to be like rewired and restructured with Saturn right now. There is a confrontation happening with those matters, and there might be redefinition about what enough or having enough or spending enough means for you. And also Saturn in the second can also be about like raising your prices. Because yeah, Saturn is about authority and about like believing in yourself, Aries, the self, in your money-making skills. Neptune is giving you a whole new vision, and Saturn is putting structure underneath that, so you can make your dreams come true here with this conjunction in your second house. But this is really about, yeah, also restructuring and reorganizing and reimagining your value apart from like the numbers on your bank account. So have gratitude for what you already have, and have gratitude for your own skills, and hone into them and monetize them and get serious about them. Believe in yourself, and then you're going to likely be more stable, more self-reliant, and also more confident in the abilities that you have. And when you honor your word, your stability is also growing over time naturally. And that is the very big lesson here of Pisces and Saturn in the second house. So I wish you good luck, my dear Pisces. So that was it for today. Don't forget to tune in for the live workshop that I'm hosting here on Sunday, the 15th. I will be talking more about the Aquarius eclipse. I'm also going to touch on the full moon lunar eclipse that we're having in the sign of Virgo. I'm also looking more deeply into the fire horse, and also how the Saturn Neptune conjunction has already been in a play since last year, and how the implications are manifesting on our global stage right now as we speak. Especially the Aquarius solar eclipse. It is the first eclipse that we're having in like a new set of signs. We've been having eclipses in Virgo and Pisces. Now that shifts over to Aquarius and Leo. And then during the summer, by the 26th of July, the South Node is also going to enter into Leo, and the North Node will enter into Aquarius. And I'm going to tie it all together and give you guys some more information about all of that. We'll also be looking at the 12 signs, of course. So I will not be hosting... I will not be doing a video about the eclipse here on YouTube, as I'm going to do that for the people who tune in for the live workshop, of course. Otherwise, that wouldn't be fair. So if you do enjoy these videos and if they resonate with you, please give them a like, give them a share. And also, if you want to support my work, you can definitely tune in live during the workshop here on Sunday, the 15th. So for the Eastern time, it will be around 11 a.m. And for Central time, for Europe, it will be at 5 p.m. during the evening time. So I would be very happy to welcome you all in and to explain a whole lot more about this very surprising and exciting eclipse in Aquarius that is about to kick off. So thank you all so much for spending some time with me here today, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.